welcome to Toronto 360's The Money and Fariha Show. As you're aware, I am Fariha, and it's always a pleasure and delight to have you accompany me. I'm sure that you guys are familiar with, and if you're not, you need to be familiar with Dr. John Gray. He is a pioneer in the work of distinguishing I'm not going to say the war between the genders, but the differences between the genders. He has a very scientific approach. He goes into understanding our different hormones, our neurology. So it really is enlightening when he talks about how men are from Mars and women are from Venus. But regardless of us being alien beings or alien species to one another, we both have to live on planet Earth. And someone who is very, very familiar with the whole concept of men are from Mars and women are from Venus is Leslie Edwards Thompson.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So lovely to have you here. And I've known Leslie for a number of years, such a dear, dear friend. I've learned so much from her as well. And recently she's come back from a training session, right, with Dr. John Gray himself. And it's amazing that, you know, I think, I don't know when he first wrote the book, but it truly has been just evolving, and the interesting aspects of it and the evolution of it has just progressed.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. So since he wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, it wasn't even his first book, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so that was back in the 90s. It outsold everything except for the Bible. This is like a cult classic, 50 million copies.
Yes.
In like, I forget how many, like more than 40 languages.
Yeah.
It's been translated because it really does apply to across cultures, across the world. And he's gone from...
And cross species.
Probably. Yes. He's gone from understanding men and women in relationships to really understanding, like you said, the science, the hormones, and the brain differences between men and women. Because he's found that when the hormones are out of whack, then it can be so much more difficult to deal with the relationship challenges and apply the principles.
And I guess so many books have sold because both sides of the equation want to understand the other, you know? And from my perspective, I had always thought that, well, humans are humans. You know, we all bleed, we all have feelings and emotions. And I know that historically, women have been considered more emotional. But in my personal experience, I've encountered some really emotional men. So I'm like, is there truly that much of a difference? But in day-to-day experience, and mostly in relationships, we really, really don't understand each other.
Well, yeah, it's just I'd say we're more similar than we are different. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And everything is a spectrum. We all have our masculine side and traits, and we all have our feminine side and traits. Our masculine being our purpose side, that's all about career and what's important to us in life, and our feminine side is all about love and relationships.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the outliers, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'd say that I like the concept because it's a metaphor and it applies generally, but then you find where you fit on the spectrum. Yeah. He even describes when you look at the feminine and Venus, he's like, there's Venus in blue, which is more towards the masculine side, where you can take a dirty joke or, you know, something, a woman who's like crude. A bit stronger. Yeah, exactly. Or the Venus in pink, where a woman who's maybe more sensitive and maybe more repressed, and that, you know, like this whole Me Too movement, that woman may be more, where the woman in blue would say, a man came up to her and is, you know, essentially just some not evolved flirting, and she just will slap him, like, that's not appropriate. Yeah. Where the Venus in pink might be someone who's like, oh, I can't do or say anything, and they hold it in, and, you know, and can be more sensitive to things, where it's, you know, so it is absolutely
it's a broad spectrum.
Yeah.
Is there like the pink and blue lilac in between?
Probably. Yes. Yeah, it's absolutely all ranges.
Well, prior to beginning the show, you were sharing with me about the hormone levels, and you touched upon it very briefly, but how does that come into play? Because yes, men and women do have, you know, different hormones which are dominant, but then again, we do share some hormones as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, the main ones, so for men, testosterone, no surprise, and for women, estrogen is really the main one, and they kind of move reciprocally, like I was explaining. For men and for women, when our testosterone is higher, then our estrogen tends to be lower. Yeah,
and that's when we get more aggressive.
Well, it's actually really interesting, because that was something that I thought for sure, that men who have higher testosterone, are they more aggressive? And it's actually the opposite.
Oh, really?
When men are getting violent, when men are is emotionally violent. When you talk about, for example, men going into war, you think about this example that John told me last week that I loved was the Trojans.
Yes.
They had really high testosterone levels because high testosterone is disconnecting. High estrogen is emotion. And so those men, you need to, if you're going into life or death situation and you need to be able to kill the enemy without thinking, without fear,
and without
which is emotion, then it needs to be high testosterone. And then when they come back to society after a war, one of the main things that would happen was all the single women would go to the temples, would have sex with and bond with these men, and that is what brings us back, because connection, touch, physical touch, and sex, that brings up our estrogen levels. But what they're finding with these reactive men, with these like terrible things like school shootings, and that's actually high levels of estrogen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So estrogen does not suit men at all.
Well, it's just, everything is about coming back into balance.
Okay.
Right? Like we see with women, and all of our training in the world now, our education, our work system is all about testosterone producing activities, which is taking action, making it happen. And women are very great at that, very successful at that now. But it's bringing our testosterone levels up and it's bringing our estrogen levels down. And just like you said, there are sensitive men who are really in touch with their emotions. And with women being more into our masculine, having more testosterone, then men are also having their estrogen levels go up. And so things are kind of, it's really about getting things back into balance.
So what would you suggest to get things back into balance? Like women getting more in touch with their feminine?
Yeah. So actually the best way is to get in touch with emotion. Which you know, like, oh, really, does that have to be the way? Because that's exactly my reaction.
Constant crying.
Well, it's the full spectrum of emotion. So think of the whole thing like a pendulum, just like emotion. So it's like where the extremes of emotion, joy, love, right? That's the height of emotion on this side, and the height of emotion on the negative side is,
despair.
Rage, despair. Yeah, like the full spectrum of emotion, anger, sadness, longing, all of that. And so because we like to avoid, pain and fear, we tend to, instead of swinging way out into the extremes, we tend to just kind of hang out in the middle here, which is
not too much feeling either way.
That's okay. And here it's like, it's a little disappointing, but there's nothing really more than that. And it's more comfortable. It's more comfortable, but there's no and this is what so many women say to me. It's just like, I'm not excited. I'm not excited about any of the men that I'm meeting. So it's actually, we need to get up into this side.
Start swinging that pendulum.
Start swinging and experiencing more emotion. And so for someone who's like really on the spectrum of really high testosterone, we might actually be really numb to emotion.
Okay.
So one of the places to start is actually like, what do you at least have complaints about? Let's get, let's shake things up a little so we can swing into more expanded levels of joy and love, which are the things that we truly desire.
But it's so interesting that you say that we tend to stay in the middle range and think that it's okay or we're getting by, but are we truly happy? Are we, well, obviously we're not feeling everything that we can feel, but because we shy away from those extreme, what are termed negative emotions, and I would say that truly is a societal construct, because why do they have to be considered negative? If something is worthy of getting angry about, be angry about it. If something is worthy of grieving over, grieve over it.
Absolutely. Because anger points to, okay, there's some action to take. This is not okay. Therefore, I'm going to say something about it, or I'm going to do something differently. It's a motivator. Just like all of the negative emotions are, just like the positive ones say, hey, something's right about this. Things are in alignment. So it's not negative in that it should be avoided. It's negative in that it's a motivator. It's showing us something. We have pain. We have to pay attention. And if we don't, then we get higher levels of pain until we pay attention.
And it truly is amazing that our own bodies give us signals, right?
And
it may not be the physical pain, but oftentimes it can. be, right? With repressed emotions, repressed thoughts, it can show up in our bodies as some really terminal things.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much cool research, and I think there will continue to be more evidence about how emotional pain and emotional stuff can get stored in the body, just like anything else that's meant. I mean, emotions are meant to move, to feel. If for about 14 to 30 seconds, an emotion jiggles through our neurology, and then, okay, it's gone. And if we don't let it fully come up, then, you know, it's just like everything is energy. It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, it has to be released. So what are some tips that you have, Leslie, to let it go through us?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my favorite thing is letter writing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so actually something that John pioneered that I love and I use with all of my clients is feeling letters.
Yeah.
And so it's a structured way where we get to feel safe, where we get to not be mature, not be an adult. It's actually best to think about writing it as a child who would just, you know, children, they feel how they feel. If they're not happy, everybody
let you
knows.
know.
Exactly. And if they're happy, they're excited and they're loud, and that's what's normal for us. And so as we grow up, get more mature, fit into what's acceptable, right? Then we get into these lower ranges of emotions. But letter writing, and there's a specific way to do it to actually process, you know, from anger to sadness to fear to regret. It moves in a specific order so that it's processing through the areas of our brain so we can get to the conscious processing area, this front area of our brain, where then we can move into love and understanding and forgiveness. So we can release that stuff. That is one of my favorite processes, for sure.
So what you're saying is just write a letter to whoever the person is or to yourself.
Yeah, I always say, when I do this process, I always say, you know who you need to write the letter to. Right? So if you feel like there's something unresolved or there's something weighing on you, yes, write that letter. Right?
And no one has to see it, so truly let it all out.
And that is so important. Absolutely. That is the key, Fariha. No one will see it. This is not a letter that we'd ever send. This is a letter that we're writing just for the exercise of getting in touch with emotion and letting ourselves move through it. And then you burn it. You shred it. You get rid of it because there's nothing to keep. It is just an exercise.
Destroy the evidence.
Exactly. There's no need to keep it. It is a process of letting go.
Okay. And what if you write one letter, but then those feelings kind of come back?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It can be that there can be layers of things. Sometimes we're ready to let go of certain things, and then there's just like Shrek and the Onion.
Yeah.
It's truly like layers, and it can feel like, I know for my clients, it can feel like, oh, but I've dealt with this already. I've already done this work. I've already let that go. And I would say that's absolutely the case. They have let go of those layers, and it could just be the next thing that's ready to heal is showing itself. And so if you're feeling the feelings again, or there's something unresolved with that person, then great, I would go through the process again. And or you can look back to, because things tend to happen in patterns, right? Until we can get back to the originating incident. Like, what is this scenario reminding me of? You can go all the way back to the earliest instance of that, usually when we're children, because most of our identity and our personality is created by age 7. So if we look back in those early years, what does this remind me of? Then you go back to that one, you can do the letter for that. That will, you know, that resolves
bring out other things
at the
root level.
Incidents. Exactly, at the root level. Perfectly said.
It is really wonderful of a process for us to do, and you can do it multiple times. But what I think more of an academic way of looking at it is that you can even reread it and then analyze. And then sometimes when we're away from the emotion of it, so get everything out in the emotional aspect and then maybe meditate or drink some tea and then read it back. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't realize how much rage we have.
Well, and that's the whole thing. This is so great that you mentioned analyzing, because emotions are not of that realm. Like, our analysis brain is right here, and our emotions are like of the body. So they're not of the same stuff. It's like two different languages, essentially. And so understanding emotion, it's almost like there's no there's no place for understanding emotion because there's nothing to understand. It's not of the realm of logic and reasoning and something we can understand. And the more we try to push emotion into our analysis, because they're like, we were talking about the 4 rooms, right?
Yes.
So there's 4 rooms.
And what are the
like
4
a complete
rooms?
life. So the mental,
Yes.
the emotional,
Okay.
the spiritual, and the physical.
Yeah.
So our physical body. And we have balance when we're spending time in each of those realms. And I know for me, I have a tendency to just hang out in the mental realm and analyze things. And so things of the physical realm are not necessarily of the mental realm, right? And they can all cross over, because if you're having something happen with your body, you'll have feelings. You could have feelings related to that, but they speak with each other. But yeah, we don't have to understand our emotions. It's really just validating, yeah, of course you feel that way. It's like to a child, there's no understanding how you feel the way. You just feel the way that you feel. The more freedom we have around that to just feel how we feel, the more freedom we have to move through things. So that's so great, because after we do the first level of that letter to whoever we're writing it to, then we write the response letter to ourselves, so that we feel totally heard for everything that we shared in that letter. What would we need to hear to feel totally validated for everything that we just shared?
Okay. Well, hold on to that thought, because we are due for a break. But when we return, we'll get more into what a response letter looks like and how it validates our feelings. See you shortly.
What makes your beautiful home a wise investment? Value, luxury and returns together. Who makes it possible to own your dream home in Dubai? Danube Properties. Pay as low as 1% per month with returns as high as 15% on your investment. Stylish lifestyle and affordable luxury comes to life with fully furnished apartments and state-of-the-art amenities, delivering on our promises. Danube Properties, the place to be.
जब भी बात होती है कार एक्सीडेंट की तो हम तलाश करते हैं एक लॉयर को, और हमारे पास मौजूद हैं डेविड हिमोफार.
Yes, thank you. I'm David Himmelfarb. I have over 30 years experience in personal injury matters. We have a downtown Toronto location with over 22 lawyers to service you. And we speak your language, Urdu, Punjabi and Hindi. We have a great community liaison, Anjum Qureshi.
आप हमें कॉल कर सकते हैं 416-570-0157.
Years ago, an elderly immigrant couple dreamed of serving the poor, a halal food bank serving needy families, delivering food to the homeless, a free clinic for those without health coverage, a shelter for abused women and children. Since 1993, we've been serving people in need. Muslim Welfare Center. Service to humanity is service to Allah.
If you are looking for a reliable, professional, and affordable travel agency in your town, then your search is over. Global Travel and Tours is your personal travel partner. We are the #1 pilgrimage specialist for Hajj, Umrah, as well as ziyarats to Iran and Iraq. Global Travel and Tours is a one-stop solution for your travel, immigration, and Forex needs. We are IATA approved agents and an authorized Umrah agent. To book your holiday or Umrah package, please give us a call right now at 1-877-275-3555.
रोशन मुस्तकबिल और अपनों का साथ जन्नत से कम नहीं। आप भी कनाडा को अपना घर बना सकते हैं। ग्रीन स्टार इमिग्रेशन सॉल्यूशंस के रेगुलेटेड कैनेडियन इमिग्रेशन कंसल्टेंट शहबाज अकबर के साथ मास्टर ऑफ बिजनेस क्लास इमिग्रेशन, एक्सप्रेस एंट्री, स्किल क्लास इमिग्रेशन, रेफ्यूजी क्लेम्स and family sponsorships. So call now at 416-508-3989. Green Star Immigration Solutions Canada. It's never too late to follow your dreams. जिंदगी के मुश्किल लम्हों में आपको चाहिए एक कॉन्फिडेंट और स्ट्रॉन्ग रिप्रेजेंटेशन जैसे सैयद एम रजा, पर्सनल इंजरी एंड लिटिगेशन लॉयर फ्रॉम सैयद लॉ। कार एक्सीडेंट या स्लिप एंड फॉल एक्सीडेंट की सूरत में साउथ एशियन कम्युनिटी की रिलायबल एंड स्ट्रॉन्ग रिप्रेजेंटेशन, यानी आपकी अपनी जुबान में। साल हर साल से कम्युनिटी की खिदमत में पेश सैयद एम रजा, पर्सनल इंजरी एंड लिटिगेशन लॉयर फ्रॉम सैयद लॉ। अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए अभी कॉल करें 416-937-5046।
Dixie Electronics and Appliances is your #1 destination for electronics and appliances. Choose from TVs and home audio that will entertain your whole family, to home comfort essentials for your living space, and a wide selection of appliances to build your perfect kitchen. From selection to delivery, Dixie Electronics is everything you need. Price match guarantee and 0% financing available, all under one roof. Come today at 5120 Dixie Road, Mississauga, or visit the website at dixieelectronics.ca.
Welcome back, everyone. We are having a riveting conversation with Leslie Edwards Thompson. Do you use all of it?
I use, well, it's fun. So, yes, I'm married.
Yes.
But now my Thompson is my, so personally I use Leslie Thompson. Professionally I stick with Leslie Edwards because it is who I've been as my single self, and that's who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm talking from most of the time. So,
And that's how people know you.
Leslie Edwards.
Edwards.
I know.
Well, it's all intermingled
It's all
by
the
now.
same. Yeah,
Yes, it's
I
all the
respond to
same.
it all.
Very good. So before the break, we were talking about the 4 different compartments that we live in and how it ties into, you know, a letter that we totally release everything out into. Most of the time, I've thought of the mind-body-spirit connection, which is only 3 of the aspects. So what is the new introduction to that as the 4th room, so to speak?
Yeah, I'd say emotion, because it's the currency of everything. It kind of flows between all of the realms, right? It has each, it's like the only way, I've heard it said, and I really love this, it's the only way that our unconscious communicates with our conscious mind.
By making us feel something.
Yes, emotion is the only, it's like a messenger between the unconscious, and which is of the body, and our conscious thinking mind to say, hey, I'm feeling this way, what can I do differently? Or what's going on? Like you said, you need to check in on something here.
Exactly. I know that I spend a lot of time in the mental room as well.
Yes, you and I are the same.
Yes, because I love to research, I love reading, and I do find that when I am just, you know, researching, I am so out of touch with my feelings, or they don't even matter, and nothing around me and no one around me truly matters. I'm so totally immersed into it. And yet, when I'm sick, I can't think about anything else. Like, it's just contending with that physical aspect, or when I'm in sorrow or despair, that's all I think about as well. And there tends to be more energy towards it. So if I'm sad, more thoughts will come which are making me sadder, and then I'm not going to be thinking about anything academic or whatever, because it takes me so away from that emotional aspect.
Yeah, and that is a really great thing too, because, you know, sometimes when we're, it's like the way of our body's telling us, okay, something's out of balance.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we do get sick when it's like, if you haven't been paying attention to taking care of yourself, or to take care of, hey, there's been a pain, it's going to keep making itself known. And to the point where, like you said, it could completely debilitate us in another realm, so that we're not concentrating. The thing about emotions that's really important is that when something lasts longer than 30 seconds, an emotion that lasts longer than 30 seconds, then it's come up here, like you said, into our mental realm, and then we're analyzing it. And then we're going back and we're thinking about what I could have and should have done differently.
Yeah.
So that's not,
So I guess I'm getting back into the mental realm.
we're not actually feeling then. We might have feelings related to that we're going back in the past and thinking about what happened and understanding. But be careful that that's not processing emotion.
Okay.
That's more in the thinking about the emotion.
Oh, I get it. It makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
So
And we could spend hours there, which really not necessarily.
it's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. So the point is to feel the emotion, more like observe it and just let it move on.
It's actually to move through it.
move through.
Move through it. So sometimes there's certain emotions that we're comfortable. Like I noticed for me, I was comfortable with sadness. That was one that I would go to, and you feel like you've heard this. You have a good cry, and then it's like
it's familiar.
It's familiar, absolutely. So I noticed that I was avoiding anger, and that's actually the place to start, right? When we do the letter, we start at anger, then we move into sadness, then we move into fear. It's a specific sequential process to get us into the place where you said. Then we can look at it, I'll say, more rationally from being able to get in touch with love and understanding and forgiveness, which if we haven't processed anger, we're not going to be able to, because we need to feel the anger. We need to get what that message is, what was not okay with us. Also helps us set boundaries, which is so important to know what's not okay with us and what does feel good. That's a really good starting place.
So you've spoken about, getting it through our, literally through our brain.
Yes.
I would like to speak a little bit about the neurology of it and how, men and women do differ in even the neurological aspects of ourselves.
Yeah. So we do know that the stress response, when they study, men's and women's brains generally, that there's more blood flow happening in this area for men, which is the fight or flight response, is the primary response to stress. So we're going to deal with the problem,
or run away from it,
or physically fight, or get out of there, or the other version of that is forget about it. For a man, if you can't deal with a problem or fix a problem right then why would you keep thinking about it? Just forget about it.
Very pragmatic.
It is. It's, I forget what this guy's name is, but he has this demonstration where he thinks about the man's brain as like all these individual boxes, and each there's like a box for the kids, a box for the car, a box for the job, and none of the boxes touch. And there's also this nothing box. There's nothing in that box, and the man can go there and just like chill.
Think of nothing?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, because we don't have that box. We don't have that box, Fariha. We wish that we did a lot of times, but we don't.
For sure.
And then, so when a man has a problem that he can't solve in that moment, he goes to that nothing box. And that is actually really vital for men because it helps regenerate their testosterone. Because if you keep spinning your wheels on something that you can't solve,
the estrogen's going to rise, right?
exactly, then you're going to get more and more emotional and less capable of solving the problem. Whereas the woman's brain, the stress response triggers the limbic system, which is our emotional center. So, which I can identify with is like, we were talking about this emotional stacking thing. So where you have like a 10% upset in the morning, like your gas tank is empty, and then you get to work and someone's like, oh, well, you're always late. And you're like, oh, I would normally be a 10% thing, but because the gas was low in the morning, it's a 20% thing. And then the photocopier's not working, and you have to print this report on time, and it's like, oh, that would normally be a 20% upset, but now we're up to 40%. So we kind of have this emotional stacking, especially because at work it's not acceptable generally to express our emotions. So we kind of keep it in, and then we get to the end of the day, we get home to our partner, and they, the dishwasher hasn't been emptied, and so you go to get a clean dish, and they're all dirty, which would normally be, that would normally be a 10% or a 20% say upset, and you're like 20%, a 200% reaction to a 20% thing, and your partner's like, whoa.
Oh, what just happened?
What, you're overreacting because we've been stacking it up, and then our partner is a safe person to express with, unfortunately. So they get the full weight of everything that's happened all day.
Throughout the day.
And so it's the same thing where, you get to, so say that was your day, and then the next morning your boss calls you in, and there's some performance issue or some client complaint, and that would normally be like a 20% thing, but because of everything that had happened the day before that maybe didn't get expressed at home, you get to your boss and they have this complaint, and then before you know it, you're in tears, and you're like,
meltdown.
No, I can't, like, I wouldn't be crying about a client thing, but it's this stress response that is tied with our emotions.
The accumulation of it, or the compounding effect.
Absolutely. And that the stress response for us, yes, our fight or flight does get triggered, but more our emotional center is triggered. So it can be often that a woman's response to stress is emotional.
And that's why historically, everyone says that women are more emotional, because that's what pans out.
Yeah, and which I think a lot of times they'll say, like, great leaders, right? They can be calm, cool, in
the nothing
crisis. Exactly. They can go to their nothing box, fight or flight. Their testosterone is high, and they're like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this, and that's it.
It's done. So oftentimes I've heard women say that if they ask their partner, what are you thinking about? And they say nothing, it truly is nothing.
Yeah, which is, it's amazing to us and almost incomprehensible for us because our brain is like a superhighway of wires that are all connected and always because we have more connective tissue between both sides of our brain. So both sides of our brain is talking and communicating all the time. No, nothing blocks for us. Yeah. So we were literally always thinking about something.
About something, and it's connected to something else.
Yes.
Yes. And there's no like logic brain or creative brain. It's all intermingled too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Amazing.
Which it is amazing because when we can leverage that and really acknowledge this is one of our superpowers. Yeah. Right? Like we can make connections between things that when the man's looking at one box at a time, it's like, okay, we're looking at this issue and they're super laser focused on that issue. Yeah. For us, our awareness is this diffuse awareness of like all the things in the room, all of the things to take into consideration. So we can see the relationships between the things. That is an amazing asset.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big picture. So in this dynamics of us even thinking so differently, what are some tips for Martians and Venetians to get along? Are they Venetians?
Yes, Venetians. Okay. Yes. So one of the biggest things is, so our brains work differently and our hormones are different. And so our response to stress is also different. So with the fight or flight response, if a man has a problem and he's either dealing with it or he's forgetting about it so that he can deal with it later. Yeah. What's our response to stress?
Oh my God, I have to do something about it, or I have to fix it, or I can't handle it. That sense of overwhelm.
Yes, and we normally, when we have that experience, we will pick up the phone and call a friend, call a sister.
We want to talk about it.
We want to talk about it because that's what we do. On Venus, if you have a problem, you talk about it with your sister. And that, just talking about it, we already feel better. Yeah. There's already like a weight that's lifted. And we have this amazing ability to find our own solutions just in talking about it.
Yeah. That is very often the case.
Right?
It's like, oh my God, I knew this already. Thank you.
It just like, it creates this clear, we're like discharging all the emotion and we're just getting clearer and clearer and clearer. So, which is great. That works on Venus and that works on Mars. When we bring it together though, for example, like if my husband comes home and I can see that he's upset or dealing with something, then I think, oh, he wants to talk about it because that's how I deal. However, if he's right into fight or flight and it's something that he hasn't been able to fight and he's trying to forget about it, the last thing he wants to do is talk about it. Which can actually create more conflict. Yeah, more friction. Is why John created the whole idea of the man cave. Because that's where a man can go to like just forget, rebuild his testosterone, and be more able and capable to deal with things. And so similar for men. Men, high testosterone, you want to fix things. You want to fight. So if you're telling me your problem, I'm like, on Mars, you would only talk about your problems if you're looking for a solution. So what does the man do? The man wants to fix. Okay, well, let me help you with that.
Yeah. I was like, no. I just want to talk about it.
Exactly. We're not looking for solutions. We're just looking to like discharge it. So the best thing that we can do as women is to say, you know what? You don't need to, I just need to like get this off my chest. You don't need to
worry about it.
You don't need to worry about it. You don't need to brainstorm or give me solutions. Can I just like get this off my chest? So then men know, okay, great. I can just listen. That's very easy. They don't have to, they don't feel compelled to give a solution.
Yeah, they could be in their nothing box even.
Exactly. And that's the thing is like, you don't even have to listen to this. I just need to say this.
Just pretend, you know, just to keep the eye contact going.
Say this and then give me a hug at the end or something. Yeah. That's what I need. That's what works for me. And then for men, same thing. You can just say, hey, you know what? I just need to chill and like go to my own space for now and let's talk later. Yeah. So she doesn't feel like rejected or any of that. It's just like, hey, this is what I need right now. So we can really start to voice and ask for what we need.
It's all in communication.
It totally is. And the more we can understand a little bit about how our partner works and what works for our partner, it's like the golden rule is where we get into trouble. It's like do unto others as you would like, right?
Don't do that.
that is kryptonite in relationships. So what works is the platinum rule, which is give the other person what they need. not necessarily what we need. So it's like really getting interested in our partner and how they tick, because it will change between, you know, person to person. These are generalities, but we want to
day to day, I would say, right?
And for sure, for us, it will, because where the masculine and the testosterone is very black and white. The feminine is very much into the shades of gray. So they did good with that.
And it was written by a female.
Right. They know what we love. So the shades of gray, meaning that we have a lot more flexibility and a lot of changeability. So yes, something, even when it comes to sex, is like, oh, well, this really worked last time. It's like, not into it this time.
Yeah.
Exactly, because we are more into the flexibility and the shades of the gray.
Yeah.
So something that works today might not work tomorrow.
But I would say that also makes women really adaptable.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That breeds into this whole flexibility and superpowers that we have, is that we are extremely adaptable.
Like to be able to be a wife and a mother and a parent simultaneously. And oftentimes they talk about, you know, putting different hats on. But doesn't it kind of lead to burnout for women?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I would say men are really amazing at, they notice that their testosterone level is getting low. And so they do something to rebuild it, right? They take on a project, they take action, or they relax. Both of those produce testosterone. For women, it's like we are getting to our empty sign on our gas tank. And then we think, oh, but I'm just going to do this other thing and this other thing.
5 more miles.
5 more miles, exactly. And then we crash. So John describes it as a wave. So we're like building and building, like that emotional stacking of charge. Then we get to the top and we crash. And when we crash, we have nothing to give. So it's really to notice where we're getting into, we're getting close to, our lights coming on for what we have energy to give. And when we get into the over giving, that's where all the resentment is and all of that.
So stop it.
Yeah, that's what there is to really catch ourselves, is to really notice what we have energy for and really honor. I don't have the capacity for that tomorrow. I'd love to help you with that next week.
Again, the communication.
Exactly.
And being in tune with ourselves, like that self-awareness sounds imperative.
That is the key. We can't even communicate what we need or ask for what we need until we can see when we're getting to our limit. Because so often we're so programmed, we just want to help people and we get fulfillment from it. So it's a fine line to when we get into that over giving.
Well, it's been really, really wonderful to speak with you today, Leslie, and I would say very enlightening, informative, and educational. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
I really feel like I must have you back because there's so much more to discuss. We really could be talking forever. And like 2 different planets, and then the third one of where we're actually living, right? So the whole dynamics of all of that. And everything that John Gray has been doing, Dr. John Gray, over all these years. And I'm sure that he's peeled off lots of layers of the relationships as well, right? And gotten more in depth as well.
Definitely. There's always deeper to go.
For sure,
Our world is constantly changing and getting more challenging all the time.
all the time, for sure. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank each and every one of you for being here as well. As I said right at the beginning, I love your company on this Friday evening, and whatever it is that you want for me to bring to you, please let me know right in the comments. Send me personal messages. I love, love, love hearing from you. I love all the love that you give me, and I will have another amazing guest for you next week. And until next week, goodbye and God bless.
Knowledge, integrity, experience, and service. These are really the elements you are looking for in a good financial professional. Whether it is life and critical insurance to protect your family and business, retirement savings to live comfortably, education savings to educate your children, group health benefits to safeguard your employees, or travel and super visa insurance for your friends and family. That's what Zaid Syed of Arouge Financial brings to your table. Call him at 905-624-0008 or visit ArougeFinancial.com.
The law professionals at TM Law, providing professional services in the GTA in the areas of civil litigation, criminal defense, family matters, and real estate, serving the community in English, Punjabi, Hindi, and Urdu. For more information, call Tahir Majid, barrister and solicitor at 647-838-4773, or you can visit tahirlaw.ca.
अपने प्यारों को बुलाइए कनाडा में बसाइए with ICC immigration मुस्तकबिल सवारे आसानी के साथ ICC के साथ
ICC इमिग्रेशन के RD, MD और उनकी प्रोफेशनल टीम हेड ऑफिस मिसिसागा से आपको सर्व कर रही हैं। बिजनेस वीजा, स्टूडेंट वीजा, वर्क परमिट, स्पॉन्सरशिप या किसी भी अप्रूव कैटेगरी में आप अपने प्यारों को कनाडा बुलाना चाहते हैं तो अभी कॉल कर लें 905-461-2424। It's 905-461-2424।
ICC immigration
Are you sure about it? Let's do it then.
The family law lawyers at Alam Law Chambers will be with you during your stressful divorce and custody battle so that the best possible result can be found for you and your children. Reliable and affordable. Alam Law.
अब हासिल करें रियल एस्टेट प्री कंस्ट्रक्शन की एक्सक्लूसिव डील्स अर्बन रियल्टी पॉइंट ब्रोकरेज के साथ, जैसे एम सिटी कॉन्डोज, डाउनटाउन मिसिसागा का लाइफस्टाइल एंड ट्रांजिट सिटी कॉन्डोज एट डाउनटाउन वॉन, जहां से है टीटीसी सबवे की डायरेक्ट एक्सेस, डिटैच्ड होम और फ्री होल्ड टाउन हाउसेस की एक्सक्लूसिव डील्स और रीसेल्स के लिए अभी कॉल करें मोस्ट ऑनेस्ट एंड एक्सपीरियंस रियल्टर्स अरसलान बेग एट 416-779-6047 और इशरत लाइक एट 416-707-1864.
More shopping?
Yes, on my home.
Welcome to Pan Am Blinds Limited. My name is Bobby, and I would like to introduce our very newest product. It is only with us with Pan Am Blinds in improved.
It's combination of
and silver shades, so Venus shades, or Shangri-La shades. So it's a very unique and new product in different color. It's an energy saver. You can save your 85% energy, and also it has child safety features over here. If you see here, if it goes down, it will open itself, and you will see through from this, but ultraviolet rays controlled. No UV light will come in, and you can see out, and people, they can see very slightly. Please come to our store and see how many beautiful colors we do have, and enjoy your comfort of life.
Are you confused about the new mortgage rules that you may or may not qualify for your mortgage or for your next investment property? Do you need expert mortgage advice? Call Team Salman today to get the right advice and find out how you can qualify for the mortgage you deserve. Call today or visit us at www.teamsalman.com. We deliver mortgage.